I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's focus in on Athens, Greece. And the parliament had a vote this evening. So whoever's watching this, it is Friday night that we are doing this video. And the parliament had a vote in Greece, and they approved the Prespes Agreement by 3 MPs. 153, I believe, was the final tally of Greek MPs that approved the Prespes Agreement, which in essence says now that FIRO, former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, will now take on the name of North Macedonia. And of course, as we said in previous videos, this pretty much means that it will get on the fast track to NATO and for the EU. Alexander, how do you see things shaking down now that this Prespes Agreement has been tied up and wrapped up?
Well, it has been tied up and wrapped up, and in an extremely ugly way. So you had in Macedonia itself, Northern Macedonia. Let's call it Northern Macedonia. I don't like the name. It's not the one I would have chosen for the country.
It's what it is now, though, is it not?
It's what it is now, exactly. And you know, we have to be realistic and call it by by the name it's been given. So there was a referendum in Northern Macedonia to approve this name change. It only got 37% of the vote of the people there said that they participated in that referendum. The legal minimum is 50%. Nonetheless, they steamrolled ahead. They got the MPs in the Northern Macedonian Parliament, including many who said they'd opposed it, to come round and support it. And we've seen essentially the same thing happen in Greece. In Greece, we didn't have a referendum because Greece does do referendums, and governments again there in Greece ignore referendum results, as we well remember from 2015. But this time, Tsipras, having been burnt badly on that occasion, wasn't going to take the risk again. So those 70% plus of the Greek people oppose this thing, though the Orthodox Church, which is very influential in Greece, opposes this thing, though it is opposed at every level of Greek society. Though many of Tsipras' own left-wing supporters opposed them, I understand some of them even stormed the Acropolis the other day. Nonetheless, despite the fact that to all appearances there was no majority for this name change in the Greek parliament, and Tsipras' main coalition ally pulled out of the government and resigned from the government, because of this name change, we now see by this wafer-thin majority the vote has passed. So, I mean, it's been done by hook and by crook. I suspect by quite a bit of crook as well as by hook, actually. I think a lot of pressure was put on people behind, backstairs pressure. I'm afraid, looking at Greece and looking at Northern Macedonia, bribery also possibly. I mean, I'm not making any specific allegations. I don't know. But whatever it was done in a way that is extremely unpopular with the Greek people and with the people of Northern Macedonia. And it's been done for the reasons that we've said, in order to bring Northern Macedonia into NATO and into the EU, serving the interests of the United States and of the Western powers, and seeing the interests of Greece and the desires of the Greek people sacrificed to those interests, yet again betrayed once more by their own government.
Will the people of North Macedonia, will the people of Greece forget about this incident and just move on and say, okay, this has been wrapped up, and now I'm a Greek and I have North Macedonia to the north of me, and that's great and fine, and I'm in North Macedonia and I'm not called Macedonia if I'm living there, Skopje. I'm not Macedonia anymore. I'm North Macedonian.
Whatever that
Macedonian.
Means. Exactly.
Or will this end up being extremely problematic 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road?
It's going to be extremely problematic. First of all, I cannot believe that this is a long-term solution. I mean, I am sure that the people who live in Northern Macedonia are not going to like this name at all. Calling it Northern Macedonia is going to give traction to some people in Northern Macedonia who say to themselves, we want to be Macedonia. And what does that mean? We want parts of Bulgaria, and we want, large parts of Greece. And we still got our eyes on Thessalonica and the opening to the sea. And I want to stress again, there are such people. They may not be very numerous at the moment, but one of the things that one must always remember about the Balkans is that these very, very violent and potentially violent and extreme people in these sort of countries tend to acquire a great deal of leverage if they're given the opportunity, and they just have. So I don't think it's sustainable. I think we're going to see growing instability in Northern Macedonia, with lots of people that are unhappy about this name change. I think the minorities in Northern Macedonia are going to be antagonized even further, people like the Albanians, for example. And I think in Greece itself, there is going to be growing anger on top of the anger that already exists because of the economic crisis with Prime Minister Tsipras and his party. And I think a lot of people are going to say to themselves, this man has betrayed everything he stood for. He betrayed us over the bailout with the European Union, and now he's betrayed us over a national issue in order to promote the interests, the geopolitical objectives of the United States. And my guess is that we're going to see over the next couple of weeks, or a couple of days, a certain dying down of the protests, but it's going to congeal and harden. And there will be elections in Greece very soon, probably sooner than they are scheduled for, because I don't think the government is going to survive very long. And then I predict that the New Democracy Party is going to win a landslide.
Yeah, but New Democracy can't hold back this agreement whatsoever.
No.
My hunch on this is Tsipras doesn't want to win the elections.
No.
I think he was always much more comfortable being in the opposition
Absolutely.
than being the prime minister. I think he's fine with delivering this name change to his higher ups at the EU and at NATO, and for him saying, "Guys, I did as I was told. I kept us in the European Union. I delivered the Macedonian problem as well as you wanted.
Yeah.
I'm out now." So I think Tsipras is going to take that position.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not making any predictions, but I would not be in the slightest bit surprised if in a year or so we see Mr. Tsipras turning up, a European commissioner, an official at the United Nations, something of that kind, in a cushy sinecure far away from Greece.
The radical leftist anarchist.
I mean, this is it. And I think perhaps that's something which I think we should explain to people who view these programs, which is that both of us who follow the affairs of Greece, of course, I'm a Greek. I'm a Greece from Greece. I'm from Athens. I mean, we've known Tsipras and his movement a long, long time, and we know what it stood for, and the kind of way that it was, this very strong left opposition that was always the first to criticize mainstream parties like New Democracy, like the old, left Social Democratic Party, PASOK, for all their compromises and their backsliding and their corruption, and which was very, very active in leading protests and often doing so in a very disruptive way and in a very aggressive way. And now what we see them do once in power is that they behave exactly like the mainstream parties that they used to criticize, only much more so.
Worse.
They've gone far further than I suspect either New Democracy or indeed especially perhaps PASOK would ever have done. So, I mean, it's when you say that he was more comfortable in opposition than in government, I think it was an utter disaster that he ever became the government. And to be honest, I think he was also, in the end, very bad for the opposition, because by pretending to be a principled oppositionist, which it is now clear he never was, he led an awful lot of people, in Greece, young people especially, up the garden path. I mean, he was the Pied Piper of Greek youth. He took them in entirely the wrong direction. And the one good thing that may come out of this, I mean, it was going to happen anyway, but I mean, I hope even sooner rather than later, is we will finally see the back of him. And then perhaps we can start to see some proper politics in Greece starting to happen.
Yeah, one thing about Tsipras and his radical left movement with Syriza, there was always people in the KKE, the KKE, which is the communist, the real communist party.
Yeah,
they were always scared to death of Tsipras actually winning the election. You want to know why? Because they were scared that when this guy gets power, he's going to do such a terrible job. And he's going to give over the keys to the kingdom. He's going to sell everything out from under Greece, which he did, that no one's going to ever vote for anything even remotely left ever again. That was their fear. They said, this guy's going to ruin it for all of us on the left.
Absolutely, no question. And I think it's an entirely justified fear. I mean, can I make a point, which is, I think, something that was once explained to me? I mean, one of the reasons why Tsipras doesn't wear ties, and all these people don't wear ties, is because, they're the anti-establishment, anti-bourgeois party, and they imply that all those people who wore ties were collaborators with the Germans during the war, or were involved in some way with black market activities at that time. They have consistently posed as leading this left-wing position, which in Greece used to be very heavily identified with the KKE, which is in some ways, still almost, if you like, the intellectual centre of it. So you're absolutely right. I think the KKE hate Tsipras even more than most Greeks do. I mean, from their point of view, he has been a total disaster.
Yeah, no one's going to ever want to see the left in power for another 50 years because of what Tsipras has done. Yeah,
exactly. I think that's a real possibility. And if you are a Greek, if you're a left-wing Greek, I mean, you should be extremely angry with him. Of course, many left-wing Greek people are. Yeah. And deservedly so.
So, very simple question that's always been on my mind, and maybe a lot of viewers have it on their mind as well. Mm-hmm. What is so important about North Macedonia that it has to get rushed into NATO at such an expense to the stability of Greece, the stability of the Balkans? What is it about North Macedonia that has caught the attention of NATO and the European Union? Why the hell does the European Union want North Macedonia in the EU? And I ask myself, why would North Macedonia even want to go into the EU at this point in time?
What is the importance of North Macedonia for NATO and the EU? The answer is it has no importance. I mean, it is nothing. It is a very small, unstable country that cannot defend itself. It's just that they've now become obsessed with this insane agenda that there is some vast Russian game plan in the Balkans, and that they believe that the Russians are going to take over the Balkans and use that as some kind of spearhead. And of course it is a fact that the Russians have long historic connections to the Balkans. People in Macedonia are Slavs, they're Orthodox Christians, they're predisposed to be favorable to Russia, as Bulgarians are, as Serbs are. The Russians are building pipelines now through Turkey, which they're talking about extending to Serbia. So there's, there are things going on, but these are not security interests. There's no conceivable danger to the West from what happens in northern Macedonia. But I mean, if you read American and British newspapers and magazines and all these extraordinary geopolitical magazines that the United States especially loves to produce, I mean, they've taken leave of their senses about all of this. I mean, they become utterly obsessed about expanding NATO and the EU in this way, even though by doing so, they're only creating conflict with Russia and instability everywhere.
Do you think that, to try to take it from the North Macedonian side, do you think that the North Macedonians will feel like they've been wronged as well from all of this?
Oh, yes, I don't think there's any doubt about this. I mean, if we go back to...
And are they justified to feel wrong? Are they justified?
Yes, I think so. I mean, what kind of a name for a country is Northern Macedonia? I mean, what does it even mean? I mean, Northern? Well, you get. I mean, is it North Korea and South Korea? I mean, it's not an appropriate. It's a ridiculous name. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people there must feel very angry, both with his name that has been foisted on them, and with the way in which it was done, which was grossly undemocratic, and with the way in which they're being pressured into NATO and into the EU, but especially into NATO, which is a country, an alliance, which many of the people, the Orthodox Slav people in Northern Macedonia have no sympathy for, because their instincts are favorable to Russia and above all to Serbia, with which, of course, they were joined for many decades in a country which was Yugoslavia, and which was, Serbia, which was attacked by NATO. So I think a lot of people there are going to be very angry about this.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe 5, 10, 20 years down the line, what this decision today, made by Tsipras and made by the Greek Parliament, what it yields.
I predict it will not be 20 years down the line. I think more like 5 or 10. and I mean, there will be consequences, and they won't be good. They never are.
They never are. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click the subscribe button down below and click on that notifications bell to get notifications every time we push out a new video. Visit the Duran shop, pick up a t-shirt, help support the Duran. And in the description box, you will find links to our PayPal and Patreon pages. That helps us out a lot if you donate. And of course, you can get a copy of this on iTunes and SoundCloud as well in audio format. And don't forget to visit theduran.com and see the articles that Alexander is linking up to every day. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Till next time, everybody. Take care.